You ever see something so absurd, so out of line, you think, there's no way this is actually happening? Well, picture this. A quiet, overcast afternoon. People hunched together beneath a thin canopy of old cypress, soft sobs and the priest's solemn words mixing with the rustle of leaves. My father, a decorated army vet, is lying there in his casket, draped in the flag, my mom clutching a handkerchief so tight her knuckles are white. And just as the priest says, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, bam, somebody slices through the moment like a chainsaw through silk. Hold it right there. This gathering is in direct violation of Section 14B of the Wesley Estates Homeowners Association ordinances. Who's in charge here? That's what I hear. Loud smug echoing across the cemetery. You ever get that ice-cold feeling in your gut, the kind that's not just anger, but a whole different animal coiling up and daring you to snap? That's what I felt standing there in my dress blues badge, covered by a mourning band, just trying to keep it together long enough to bury my dad. The guy yelling is Jared Hayes. Big dude, tactical uniform that looks ridiculous. Next to all this grief, thumbs hooked in his belt like he's John Wayne. His sidekick is short, heavy-set, clutching a clipboard and eyeing the crowd like he's about to start issuing tickets for improper mourning. They don't look like real cops, but they sure want to act the part. This is a private funeral, I say, trying to keep my voice steady, keep the storm out of it. I'm not looking to start anything, just want them gone. But Hayes, he just puffs his chest and tells me, private or not, you're on HOA property and we've had a complaint about an unauthorized large-scale congregation. You needed written permission from the board. You ever hear something so asinine you just stand there blinking, wondering if maybe you're on some kind of hidden camera show? This is the city cemetery, I tell him. We've got authorization from the city, from the cemetery office. I glance at his badge, plastic and laminated, and for a second I almost laugh. Almost, but nobody else is laughing. My mom looks like she might faint. My dad's oldest friend, General Roberts, stands up so fast the chair nearly tips. All around me, these old soldiers' men who fought alongside my dad look ready to declare war on this clown parade. There's this stunned, simmering anger, and it's building fast. And then Hayes, he actually points at me, tells me I'll need to come with them for clarification. His partner flicks out a zip tie like he's about to cuff me right there in front of my father's grave, in front of my mother, my sister, and all these people who just wanted to say goodbye. You know that line between holding it together and losing it? I was standing right on it. Because this wasn't just some petty HOA overreach. This was desecration pure and simple. This was two nobodies trying to steal the last shred of dignity from my dad's final moments. I could see my mom shaking General Roberts starting to move. I gave him the tiniest shake of my head. Not yet, General. Let's see just how deep this hole gets. You are attempting to detain a civilian during a funeral on city property with no probable cause. I say every word cold as steel. You're wearing uniforms and badges that imply official authority you do not have. And Hayes, he just sneers, takes a step closer. Last chance. Come with us peacefully, or we'll make you comply. I looked around at Hayes, at his partner, at my mom's tear-filled eyes, the veteran staring them down. I thought of all the things my dad taught me about justice, about doing the right thing even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I reached for my badge, that gold shield, heavier than ever, snapped it open so the sun caught it just right. My name is Michael T. Stone. I'm the chief of police for Brighton County. You could feel the air go out of Hayes like a bad tire. His partner dropped the zip tie. The whole crowd let out this breath, half relief, half disbelief. Hayes starts stammering, Chief. I didn't know HOA regulations. We had a complaint. I just hold up my badge. Your association has no jurisdiction here. You're impersonating law enforcement, attempting unlawful detainment, disrupting a funeral. You picked the wrong day, gentlemen. Right on cue, the sound of sirens drifted in real police, not rent-a-cops in knockoff uniforms. Officers Lang and Medina pulled up cool as ice, taking Hayes and his clipboard-wielding buddy into custody without so much as a scuffle. General Roberts, tough old man, puts his hand on my shoulder and just says, "Well handled, Chief." Then he turns to Hayes and says, "You brought shame on yourselves and deep offense to the memory of a fine American soldier. May you have a long time to think about that." Once they were led away, it got real quiet. Not scared quiet, relieved quiet. I turned back to my dad's casket, heart-pounding promise settling in my chest. This wasn't just about two bullies in fake uniforms. This was about a rot that dared touch the most sacred things. I made a vow right then and there I'd see this through for my dad, for everyone they'd wronged. And you know how these things go, pull one thread and a whole ugly tapestry comes loose. Hayes and his sidekick turned out to be small fry, just cogs in a bigger machine. The name that kept popping up, Greg Tenner, the HOA president, slick businessman with a handshake for every occasion and an iron grip on the neighborhood. He looked like a pillar of the community. But if you listened, really listened, you'd hear folks whisper about intimidation, about fines for the tiniest infractions, about rules that seemed to change depending on who you were. I put out quiet feelers. Calls trickled in. An old widow, Mrs. Henderson, told us about fines for planting her late husband's favorite roses on her own property, perfectly legal but punished anyway. The Davidsons' young couple said their kid's plastic playset brought down the wrath of the HOA's enforcers, threatened with daily fines unless it was taken down. General Roberts tapped his network too. Word was, Tenner bullied anyone who looked vulnerable, kept the board stacked with loyalists, even bragged about his connections around town. Soon, anonymous flyers started showing up warning people not to stir up trouble. HOA meetings were postponed for administrative reasons. It was classic intimidation, the kind that keeps good people silent. Then we got a break. A manila envelope slid under the station door one rainy night. Inside, damning memos with Tenner's signature instructing Hayes to go after anyone who complained. There were audio recordings too, Tenner's voice coaching his people on how to intimidate, laughing about how folks fall in line for a uniform, real or not. That was it. We went public. At the next HOA meeting, the place was packed, residents, veterans, the press. I stood up, laid it all out. Your HOA has been harassing residents, impersonating officers, and targeted a veteran's funeral to flex its power. Tenner tried to bluster, but the evidence spoke louder. We played the tape, his own voice crystal clear. That was the breaking point. People stood up, Mrs. Henderson, the Davidsons, sharing their stories, voices trembling but strong. Tenner, usually so smooth, slammed his fist on the table, but nobody was listening anymore. Even his own board started inching away from him. Finally, with everyone watching, I called for his arrest. He tried to smile, maybe thinking he still had a move left, but when the cuffs went on, he just sagged. Like the fight, the story he'd told himself about being untouchable was finally over. In the aftermath, the city council stepped in, tore down the corrupt HOA, and put real decent people in charge. Folks came forward with their stories, some crying, some laughing in relief. The local paper ran article after article shining a light where Tenner had only ever cast shadows. It wasn't quick and it wasn't always easy. Tenner lawyered up, tried to fight, but in the end he was convicted. Abuse of power, fraud, harassment. All of it. Hayes and his partner got probation and community service. The healing started slow, but it started. People began to speak up, plant flowers, let their kids play small things, but important. One day, about a month after Tenner's sentencing, I went back to the cemetery with my mom. My sister, General Roberts, just us. No crowd, no press, no threats. My dad's headstone stood quiet and strong, the words, "A man of honor," shining in the morning sun. My mom squeezed my hand. General Roberts, tough old soldier, had tears in his eyes. Raymond always said real strength is standing for what's right, especially when it's hard. You honored him, Michael. We stood together in silence, just breathing, just being. And then, no kidding, a little boy, Jake, who used to be too scared to run a lemonade stand, walked up with wildflowers for my dad. My mom says, "You're a hero too," he said, eyes shining. I bent down, thanked him, and told him to keep that stand open all summer long because this neighborhood, it was finally his to enjoy. Driving away, I realized justice isn't just courtrooms and badges. It's restoring faith. It's making sure every voice can be heard without fear. My dad's legacy isn't just a name in stone. It's alive in the courage of people standing up in kids running lemonade stands in a community learning to hope again. Now I gotta ask, where do you stand? Do you think justice was served, or was there more that needed to be done? Let me know what you think. Share your own stories, your own battles. Because that's how we keep each other strong, and that's how we make sure nobody ever gets away with what Tenor tried to pull. Not ever again.